Good afternoon and welcome to News Today on your Joy News channel here on Multi TV. Coming up, more police personnel dispatched to Krofrom following protests by residents over the killing of a 22-year-old. One arrested at Kato following clashes. One arrested at Kato following clashes between two factions in a chieftaincy dispute there. And 3 students of the Mampong Nurses and Midwifery Training School filed petition alleging violation of their rights by the school authorities. We have details including business, sports, entertainment, as well as international updates, all coming up in the next hour here on News Today. Don't go away. My name is Kwabna Chenchen. Many thanks for joining us here on News Today. To our very first story, the Tsar and police personnel have been deployed to Krofrom following protests by residents there over the alleged killing of a 22-year-old by the police. Residents say the man was tased several times and severely beaten by the officers, leading to his death. Now, the residents have this morning been demonstrating over the incident. But speaking on News Desk earlier today, Ashanti Regional Minister John Alexander Okon said the mayor for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly and several security personnel have been dispatched to the area to maintain calm.
Actually, this morning we've heard of that particular situation. We think that immediately the detail is not out, but we need to restore security and order. The regional police commander and the mayor of Kumasi will be moving to the site to talk to the people and meet the family as we go ahead to the resolution of the issues. So that's what's happening this morning. The residents are talking about it. We have not caused to dispute it. There's a dead situation. We cannot draw conclusive action. The important thing now is to cool temper. Regular and better investigation goes on to establish the real fact, and then actions will follow. So please, let's not draw conclusions for now.
Well, my colleague Erastus Saridonko has been following this rather disturbing issue at Krofrom and is joining me now on phone with a lot more details. So, Erastus, can you tell us about the situation at Krofrom now as we speak?
Well, currently as we speak, tension has calmed down.
Okay.
Tempers have been calmed after the mayor of Kumasi, Kojo Bonsu, and the Ashanti Regional Police Commander, DCOP Kofi Boakye, made a visit to the place. They first met the teeming angry youth on the street and addressed them and told them to calm down. Justice will be given. And then they went inside there to speak with guardian of this 22-year-old deceased, or say, Tavia. And actually, this guy is an orphan. They are 3. And so this old woman is the one who has been taking care of them since their childhood. And so he commiserated with the family, and they told them that justice will be done, but first they need to conduct an autopsy on the body, and then afterwards they will charge the officers who went there with murder.
Is that to suggest that the police are admitting that indeed these officers perpetrated this crime?
Well, they are not denying and they are not admitting as well. What they are saying is that they need to conduct autopsy, and then they need to speak with eyewitnesses as well to find out whether indeed the injuries he sustained or the death can be attributed to the action of the police. Mind you, the police who went there, there were 5 in all, including a female. And the reports indicate that it was the female, rather, who was urging them on to beat the gentleman, claiming that that is how they are thieves. And so when you arrest them, you must beat them. That's according to eyewitnesses. One woman who witnessed it all, in fact, she is one of the guardians of the boy. And she claims that the boy was handcuffed behind him whilst they assaulted him with the butt of a gun and then shocked him with tasers and other things. So when he falls down, they pick him up and they continue the beatings until they found out he was not moving. And then They put him in at the back of the pickup vehicle and sent him to the Menchia Hospital. I've been to the Menchia Hospital. I've looked at the body. There are some bruises to the knee, and there are some cuts to the head as well. The back of the head has quite an injury over there, and there are other cuts to the body as well.
Quite disturbing there, but I believe the family is now content with this move by the police to ensure that justice is served.
In fact, the old woman who has been taking care of this boy since he was born and left by the parents is inconsolable. In fact, she's been rolling on a crying all around. But then they were a bit calmed when they realized that indeed the police are willing to do something about it. In fact, DCOP Kofi Boakye and Kojo Bonsu indicated that they are from Kofum. Even Kojo Bonsu said that the boy who has died is a direct nephew of his when he traces his ancestry. And so they are going to ensure that justice is done. So afterwards, things calmed down a bit and the family accepted that and they are waiting for the autopsy results.
Right. Erastus Asaridonko, many thanks for that update. And that was Ashanti Regional Correspondent Erastus Asaridonko joining us from Krofom with details of that very situation there. We do know now that a lot more security officers have been dispatched to the town, and according to our report, a calm has been restored. Now, the Ashanti Regional Security Council is considering withdrawing security from Agogo. This is because it wants to devise long-term plans of securing permanent lands for cattle rearing to solve the long-standing Fulani issue. Farms have been destroyed, and the town has recorded a series of citizen unrest due to the invasion of farms by nomadic herdsmen. A police military force has since been maintaining order there. John Alexander Kon is Ashanti Regional Minister.
We met the press for a soiree and we spoke. And when I spoke, I made mention of issues in the region from Tapo, which confronted us on my assumption of duty. And Agogo obviously will come into focus. And when it came to Agogo, I spoke about the fact that we are seeing an improvement, and we're thinking that because we have stationed as we had the initial approach, and we have a long-term approach too. And the residents are also the same people saying that it's a drain on the resources of the assembly. And looking at this development, we'll see whether we should maintain the same number of security men there, which will reduce or withdraw for now. But we have a long-term vision in place, which will involve all the players coming together with sector ministries to fashion out a permanent resolution of a land, of a water body, of a source of water drinking, and of a caging system to support the issue. That is what I actually spoke about. Whenever there's a security threat and we get forces and security today, the assembly will take care of their feeding and logistics well. And that's also a drain. So you don't think that is the sustainability one. You cannot get it on a permanent basis. So you assess and take action as you take more longer-lasting solution to the problem. And that is so. It is coming to the view, and some in Agogo themselves feel that we need to withdraw because now the situation is better. But it's at the discussion stage. You know, it's a perennial and seasonal problem. But what we are looking at, how do we come into a permanent solution? The richness of the area and availability of the river is also a source of support and help for them when they come in terms of nutrition. So we're thinking that if there's a land, we are want to put some ministries together, Chieftaincy, lands and natural resources, interior, finance, a few others, Chieftaincy, and then the RCC to fashion out how to plan, and even with a development partner, how to plan to get a permanent place which is devoid of this activity and with resources available, and in a caging system that will help. We want a more lasting solution, but this is at the very primary stage, because the players will come together, and then when it's accepted, we'll do a movement towards that direction.
Still on issues of security, and one person has been arrested at Kato in the Bunawafu region following clashes between two factions in a chieftaincy dispute there. One person died while two others sustained various degrees of injuries after being hit by stray bullets during the altercation between the two factions. Let's get the latest on this now from correspondent Precious Semevo, who joins us over the phones with a lot more. So, Precious, tell us the latest as far as this issue is concerned.
Well, what we know is that the police has confirmed that one person has been arrested in connection with the clashes that took place Monday morning, leading to the death of one person. Now, this person is a 32-year-old by name Paul Osei Tre, and a gun was retrieved at the Queen Mother's Palace at Kato, a locally manufactured single-barrel gun was retrieved from him. And according to the police, investigation continues as they take the suspect together with a gun to where he acquired the locally manufactured gun for that owner or the manufacturer to assist in investigation.
We're told that this was an issue between two factions. Now, the information you're giving us suggests one person belonging to one faction has been arrested. What happens to the others who were involved in this?
Yes, that is what the police has been able to do now. According to the police, they are still on investigation. And the moment they get signals or their investigation, points to any other person believed to be involved in the clashes on Monday will be picked. And as of now, they've been able to pick one person, Paul Osei Tre, who, according to the police, has confirmed that on the day of the clashes, he was mother at the Queen Mother's Palace, and he has also confirmed that he shot or he fired from the Queen Mother's Palace outside in an attempt to protect the Queen Mother. So as of now, that is what the police have, and investigation continues. Okay.
But I suppose calm has returned to the town of Kato now.
Yes, calm has been restored to Kato. But I can also tell you that if you get close to the citizens of Kato or the indigenes of Kato, they will tell you that even after the clashes, the Queen Mother went ahead to do the installation, which they believe that was illegal, because you cannot install a chief to rule a town, and the installation was done in a different town. So the signal I'm getting is that anytime the chief or this chief who has been installed comes to town together with the Queen Mother and parade themselves as the chief and then the Queen Mother, that could lead to some chaotic.
Right. Precious Semavo, many thanks for that update. And that was Bono Hafo regional correspondent Precious Semavo bringing us updates on the situation at Kato. To some more stories now. And 3 students of the Mampo Nurses and Midwifery Training School in the Ashanti region have filed a petition at Shraj alleging violation of their rights by the school authorities. The petition, filed on their behalf by human rights lawyer Francis Xavier Sosu, alleges that they were prevented from writing their external examinations simply because they were pregnant. Fred Smith, my colleague who has been following this issue, joins me now over the phone lines with a lot more. Fred Smith, good morning, good afternoon. Can you hear me, Fred? Okay, so we cannot get in touch with Fred Smith now. I believe he'll be joining us pretty shortly. But let's move on now to some other stories which has to do with electricity. But that will be after this break. You're watching News Today here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you a lot more stories. Don't go away. Many thanks for staying on here with us on News Today. To some more stories now. And 3 students of the Mampo Nurses and Midwifery Training School in the Ashanti region have filed a petition at Shraj alleging a violation of their rights by the school authorities. Now, the petition filed on their behalf by human rights lawyer Francis Xavier Sosu alleges that they were prevented from writing their external examinations simply because they were pregnant. Fred Smith has just returned to the studio and is now joining me in studio with a lot more as far as this petition is concerned. Fred, good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us. And so what really does this petition entail?
Well, there's a lady, a 35-year-old woman, Jocelyn, who contracted the lawyer to petition the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. What her concern is, she's married. That's on record, that she's a married woman. She was pregnant, and at the time they were preparing for their external examinations at the Mampo Midwifery Training School, she was asked to stay at home, not to partake in that examination because of her pregnancy. Meanwhile, the lawyer is saying she had obtained a GPA of 2.0 already. even at the time she was pregnant. So there was every indication that this person is still capable, even though she was pregnant. She and 2 other colleagues were not allowed to write the examination. So they waited. The following year, they went back and said, yeah, we were prevented from writing last year. We are back. We've all given birth. We want to now write the examination. They were again denied, and the lawyer is saying that no, it's a violation of their rights as human beings. They're discriminating against them because they are women. Indeed, if they were men, if they were married men and had you know, their wives were pregnant, you would not deny them the opportunity of writing an examination for which they've paid and are entitled to. So that is the concern, and they want the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice to act on this matter. It doesn't say exactly what they want, but mainly they would require that the school authorities allow them to write this paper and get their qualifications.
I know you've been following this issue pretty keenly. I just want to find out whether or not there's been a word from school authorities on this.
Not at all. This is just a fresh statement that's come out, but from the victims, they are claiming that it's been very difficult to convince the school authorities to accept their request to write the examination, just simply because they missed it the other time they were pregnant. So the school authorities are saying no, they can't allow this to happen. And the lawyer intends that the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice would do something, would put some pressure on school authorities to get the students to write the exam. 3 of them, all of them married women, and they were pregnant. It's not their fault that they got pregnant. They're married people. They should be making a family, and they don't seem to understand why the school is punishing them for being in that situation. Okay.
First, many thanks for that update, and that was my colleague Fred Smith, who just joined us with extracts of that statement by Francis Xavier Sosu on behalf of 3 students who have written to the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, alleging that the Mampo Midwifery Training School has perpetrated some acts that violate their human rights. We'll be keeping our eyes on this and be bringing you a lot more, particularly on our news and news analysis program, The Pulse, which airs at 3 p.m. on your Joy News channel. Away from that now, but still with education, an education minister is calling on educations to look beyond grades in training young people in the country. Speaking on the sidelines of a book launch in Accra, Minister of Education Professor Jane Nana Opokwajman maintained that education must transcend academic work by using varied teaching methods to make learning easy and fun.
It's not just about the curriculum, although that's important, or testing. Sometimes we overemphasize that. It's as if it's the grade you get, that is all. That's a very important and significant part. But education should be holistic. It's about the totality of all of the person, the spirit, the body, the mind, the skills. Everything comes into play. When we say somebody is well educated, we want to say that the person is rounded. When we say it's rounded, it's academic, it's non-academic, it's everything coming together. Every so often we talk as if the academics don't matter. Of course they matter. They are central. But what we're saying is that it is not either or. It's many, many things that should come together. What the school intends to do, is focusing on healthy mind. It's focusing on skills that children come with. So it's giving opportunity for maybe dance, for artwork. All of these are important because young learners especially express themselves in different ways. Okay, and they learn differently. For some, it's about hearing. For some, it's about touching. For others, it's about being part of participating. So a good teacher, you'll notice at the lower levels, will vary the methodology, even in a single class. There are times when the students repeat, or they create, or they act. It's all part of the learning process because the trained teacher knows that the children are learning, or they will learn differently. Those of us at the Ministry of Education, maybe speaking for myself, I believe very strongly every child can learn anything. Any child can learn anything, but it depends on our ability to recognize the methodology that responds to this child. Okay, and research is not finished. There are different learners, different abilities, different interests. Even within your own class, even if you had a small class of 12, you must recognize as a teacher that you have 12 different people who may not necessarily learn the same way. So every time, varying what you do and how you do it helps the children, and of course education is not about children only, it's about adults too, it's about all of us. And as I said in this place, it begins with the home. The first 5 years are critical. They are really, really crucial. When you make children feel loved and wanted, I think, you make their learning very easy if you let them feel appreciated, if what they say is important. Even when you disagree, find ways of disagreeing, not just shutting them down and letting them feel what they've said is worthless. When you do that, you dim their self-confidence. And confidence is also a very important part of learning and of being.
Let's talk about energy now. And the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, has charged the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission, the PURC, to compel the Electricity Company of Ghana to immediately refund monies of persons who were made to pay more than they were supposed to due to a problem with the billing software. The PURC this week gave the ECG a 10-day ultimatum to halt the rollout of its new billing software and rectify anomalies with the system. But ACEP is of the opinion the ECG should be made to do more than just halt the process. Now, let me bring you extracts of that very statement by ACEP to the second paragraph of that statement, and it says, by ordering suspension of the software, PURC is agreeing that consumers have been overbilled, but PURC failed to apply the full strength of the act that sets it up. Suspension of the software is not enough. PURC should compel ECG to comply with the section of the PURC Act which requires the utility company to adjust consumers' next bill with the excess amount or pay cash to them. That's according to Section 27 of the PURC Act. It goes on to say failure by ECG to comply is also an offense and punishable by fine or imprisonment. We agree with PURC that steps should be taken to reconnect consumers who have wrongfully been disconnected by the ECG. PURC should step up their sanctions to urge ECG to compensate all customers who have been overbilled or wrongfully disconnected. And finally, he also speaks of the billing challenges that have been ongoing for a long time and that consumers are now being taken for granted. It says ACEP will therefore begin a campaign to educate consumers about remedies available so that the regulator ECG doesn't abuse the system. So those are extracts of that statement. But finally, it also says we also think that government should reduce the levies and taxes. Government can do that without undermining the work of the utilities. Now, if the intention of government is to raise more revenue to create jobs and develop the country, how about the opportunity cost? That's industries that create many of the jobs folding up under higher end user tariff, and some even moving to Ivory Coast, as we are told. Now, that will be counterproductive, and government must reverse the policy immediately. That's the statement from the Africa Center for Energy Policy. It was signed by Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam. Meanwhile, flag bearer of the Progressive People's Party, Dr. Papa Kwesi Nduom, has also been commenting on the issue of power in the country. His comments come in the wake of similar comments by the Majority Chief Whip Mohamed Muntaka Mubarak that accuses the Electricity Company of Ghana of undermining President John Dramani Mahama's quest to end the erratic power situation. That is Dumso, which has bedeviled the country for the past 4 years. Now, he also says the overbilling of customers by the ECG was a deliberate act of sabotage. That was according to the Majority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak. Papa Kwesi Nduom believes government is just seeking to make political gains out of the situation. And on that note of energy, we would have to take a break and bring you business because John Kojomakon is standing by with the very latest. Stay on.
Businesses must provide some uniqueness to be able to beat competing brands. That's the advice coming from head of sales at TCL Electronics, Derek Ajakweku. He expressed worry at the emerging trends where businesses want to provide every service without specializing in any.
I think it's very important for businesses to be to have their own focus. You know, there's a niche for every business to be able to concentrate on, so that you don't find yourself going to do everything. Now, once you have identified your niche, it is very important to ensure that you get an organization or a similar company which is in your field, which you can benchmark. Now, in benchmarking, what it means is that you want to look at what somebody is doing and succeeding, so that you can be able to walk the path and ensure that you are also able to arrive at that same destination. But in doing that, you have to choose a benchmark that is appropriate. You don't, I mean, there's a popular saying that you should cut your coat according to your size. So you don't, much as you have a dream, you want to become big, you don't end up just benchmarking with a very huge company, so that when they do a lot of adverts, you do. When they pay bonus, you pay. When they, I mean, overspend, you also overspend because you think you are benchmarking. You have to ensure that whoever you choose as your benchmark is appropriate for you to, so that you don't go out of budget. Now, in doing that, when you're able to perform and, I mean, reach the expectation of that benchmark, then of course you can always change your benchmark and move on to benchmark with another company, so that every point in time you know what you are about, you know who you are looking up to, you know you are always working within your budget, so that you don't go put unnecessary pressure on you.
And now we take our earlier story again. And the global head of financial market for Standard Chartered Bank, Jonathan Paul, is predicting a substantial reduction in the rate of inflation for Ghana from early next year. Ghana's inflation rate from April this year is 18.7% from 19.2% in March, adversely impacting the cost of goods and services. But speaking with Joy Business, Mr. Paul said the hike in the rate is short-term.
I think there are some short-term, obviously there are the fact that the government raised fuel costs and some other, changed some subsidies, yes. That has obviously caused the inflation rate, there's no question, up in the short term. But I think those, as painful as I'm sure those cost increases are for the economy, I think they probably had to be done, again, as you pointed out earlier, to reduce the amount of government debt over time. So once those drop out of the year-on-year comparisons, then you'll start to see the real underlying rate of inflation, which I think should be coming down, I'm guessing, the early part of next year.
So that will be it for Business on Midday. My name is John Kojo. For more, you can actually make a date with me between 1 and 1:30 on the marketplace. Today we are looking at the impact of the undersubscribed domestic bond that the government of Ghana and the central bank raised here in Ghana. We're looking at the impact on the next Eurobond interest rate. We'll be speaking to some analysts. Stay tuned for more on the marketplace. Coming up next is your sports.
And that's how we wrap up on News Today this afternoon on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. My name is Kwabena Chenchen. Remember, there's a lot more news when you visit www.myjoyonline.com. The marketplace is up next with John Kojo Amwako. Many thanks for your company. Have a great weekend.